Maya was 6 years old when her mom, Lisa, got married again. Her new husband, Marcus, was a quiet man with kind eyes. He had short black and white hair, and he wore a gray shirt under a light brown jacket the first time he came to visit. Maya didn't say much to him. She stayed close to her older brother, Jake, who was 9. Jake had dark brown hair and wore a white shirt with blue sleeves that day. He watched Marcus carefully. Marcus didn't try too hard. He just talked gently to Lisa and smiled at the kids when they looked at him. He brought a small box of donuts and let them choose first. Maya picked the one with pink icing. Jake took chocolate. Marcus didn't take any. He didn't move in right away. For a while, he just came by on weekends. Every time he visited, he fixed something in the house. The squeaky door, the broken shelf, the leaky faucet. He never complained. Lisa would make tea, and they'd sit and talk in the kitchen while the kids played nearby. Sometimes Marcus helped Jake with his toy car. Sometimes he asked Maya about school. Slowly, things started to change. A few months later, Marcus moved in. Lisa told the kids gently, "Marcus will be staying with us now." Maya just nodded. Jake frowned but didn't say anything. Marcus didn't take over. He gave the kids space, but every morning he was the one who made breakfast. Eggs, toast, sometimes pancakes. Lisa had to leave early for work, so Marcus made sure they ate and got to school on time. Maya started to like having him around. One night, when she had a bad dream, he came and sat by her bed. He didn't say much, just stayed until she fell asleep again. Jake was still distant. He missed their real dad, who hadn't called in months. But Marcus never tried to replace him. He just kept showing up. On Parent-Teacher Day, Marcus came in his light brown jacket again. The teachers thought he was their father. When they found out he was the stepdad, they were surprised. "He's more involved than most dads," one teacher said. Jake overheard and looked at Marcus with new eyes. Maya, now wearing her favorite blue jeans jacket and dark blonde ponytail, started calling him Dad by accident. One day she said, "Dad, can you pass the juice?" then froze. Everyone at the table paused. Marcus passed the juice like nothing happened. Lisa smiled. That night, Maya whispered to her brother, "He's nice, isn't he?" Jake didn't answer at first. Then he nodded slowly. Marcus didn't try to be perfect. He was just steady. He stayed. And that was something both kids hadn't felt in a long time. Over the next few years, Marcus became a real part of the family. He never asked Maya and Jake to call him Dad, but they slowly started to do it on their own. He didn't buy them expensive things or take them on fancy vacations. Instead, he did small things that mattered. Every school morning, he packed their lunches. Peanut butter sandwiches for Jake, cheese sandwiches for Maya. Sometimes he added a little note with a smiley face or a joke. When it rained, he'd show up with umbrellas, even if it meant being late to work. He always showed up. Maya joined a school play when she was 9. She was nervous on the big night. As she peeked through the curtain, she saw Marcus in the front row holding a camera. He gave her a thumbs up and a big smile. That gave her the courage to go on stage. After the show, he gave her a flower and said, "You were the star." Jake started playing soccer at school. Marcus went to every game. He cheered the loudest, even when Jake's team lost. He'd say, "You played your heart out, that's what matters." When Jake didn't make the starting team one year, Marcus helped him practice every evening at the park. Jake didn't say it out loud, but he looked forward to those hours. Marcus wasn't just there for the fun moments. When Maya got the flu and had to stay home for a week, Marcus stayed with her. He brought her soup, read her stories, and sat by her bed when she had a fever. Lisa had to work, but Marcus didn't complain. He just took care of everything. Even on holidays, Marcus made everything feel special. He had traditions from his own childhood, like writing wishes on paper and burning them in a bowl on New Year's Eve. At first, the kids thought it was strange, but then it became their favorite part of the holiday. They laughed together, sharing silly wishes and warm memories. Neighbors started to notice. People in the area would say, "Those kids are lucky. Marcus is always with them." But not everyone in Lisa's family felt the same. Some of her relatives didn't talk much to Marcus. At family gatherings, they smiled politely, but didn't include him in deeper conversations. He never said anything about it. He just stayed near Lisa and the kids. One day, Maya came home from school upset. A classmate had said something mean about Marcus not being her real dad. She ran into the house and hugged Marcus tightly. He knelt down and asked gently, "What's wrong?" Maya looked up and said, "You're real to me." Marcus hugged her back and said, "That's all that matters." He wasn't just a stepdad to them. He was home. Life inside the house felt good, but outside the home, things were different. Some people didn't see Marcus the way Maya and Jake did. Lisa's parents never liked him much. They never said anything directly, but the way they looked at him said enough. They rarely visited, and when they did, they talked more to Lisa and the kids, barely saying 2 words to Marcus. Lisa's brother, Uncle Ben, once made a comment during a family dinner. He looked at Marcus and said, "Must be hard raising kids that aren't yours." Lisa got upset and told him to stop, but the damage was done. Marcus didn't respond. He just cleaned up the plates and stayed quiet. Maya heard it. Jake heard it. Neither of them forgot. Holidays with Lisa's family were always awkward. Marcus would help carry gifts and food to the car, but once they arrived, he was mostly left alone. He'd sit in a corner or help in the kitchen while others laughed and talked. Maya stayed close to him during those visits. She noticed how different things felt when they were around her mom's family. One Christmas, they went to Lisa's parents' house. Everyone was there. Uncles, aunts, cousins. After dinner, people started talking about family traditions. Someone asked Jake about his dad. Jake proudly said, "My dad taught me how to fix my bike last week." One cousin laughed and said, "You mean your stepdad?" Jake didn't answer. He just looked down. Later that night, in the car, Maya asked, "Why do they always say you're not really our dad?" Marcus glanced at her in the rearview mirror and said, "Some people only care about blood, but love is stronger than that." Maya nodded, but deep down she felt confused and angry. Why couldn't people see what they saw? At school, things were better. Teachers and other parents saw Marcus as the kid's father. No one questioned it. He picked them up, signed their papers, and helped with projects. But the comments from family still stung. They were small, quiet, but sharp. One Sunday, Lisa tried to talk to her parents about it. She told them, "Marcus is their father in every way that counts." Her mom replied, "We're not saying he's not good. We're just saying it's different." Lisa left early that day. Marcus didn't ask what happened. He could guess. Marcus never stopped being kind. He never changed how he treated Maya and Jake. But little by little, they'd all started noticing the walls people built around them. Not because of something Marcus did wrong, just because he wasn't the man they expected. Maya began to see the world a bit differently after that. She held Marcus's hand tighter when they walked together. Jake started calling him Dad more often in public, even when no one asked him to. Inside their home, Marcus was everything. Outside, they were learning the world wasn't always fair. Maya was 17 when her life started to shift. She was finishing high school, looking at colleges and dreaming big. Marcus was still there every step of the way, driving her to interviews, helping her with her essays, and reminding her to believe in herself. But then, out of nowhere, someone from the past came back. It started with a message on social media. It was from her biological father, David. He hadn't been around since Maya was 4. She barely remembered his face, just a few blurry pictures and old stories from her mom. The message said, "I miss you. I'd love to see you again." Maya didn't know how to feel. She told Lisa, who looked worried but said it was her choice. When she told Marcus, he nodded slowly and said, "Whatever you decide, I'll support you." He didn't ask questions. He didn't stop her. The first meeting was at a coffee shop. David looked younger than she expected, clean-shaven, smiling wide. He brought a small gift, a bracelet, and told her stories about when she was a baby. He made her laugh. He called her my girl like no time had passed. She went home that night feeling confused. Soon, David started calling her every few days. He asked to meet again. He wanted to be part of her life. He said he had changed. He had a new job, a new apartment, and wanted to catch up on lost time. Maya didn't know what to believe, but she liked the attention. Jake was suspicious. He told her, just don't forget who raised you. But Maya was curious. She wanted to know where she came from. She started spending time with David on weekends. They went out to eat, walked around the mall, and took selfies together. He told her stories that made her feel special. Marcus stayed silent. He didn't get in the way. He still made her breakfast. He still asked how her day went, but he seemed quieter. One day, David asked Maya if she wanted to come meet his side of the family. She said yes. When she came back home, she talked nonstop about her cousins and Haunty. Marcus listened with a small smile, but he looked tired. Lisa noticed, but he just shook his head and said, "She deserves to know her roots." Maya didn't mean to hurt anyone. She was just trying to figure out who she was. But slowly, she stopped telling Marcus everything. She started comparing things, how David made her laugh more, how he bought her nice things. She forgot the nights Marcus stayed up when she was sick, or the hours he spent helping her study for tests. Jake could see the change. One night he told Marcus, "She's being unfair." Marcus just said, "She's growing up. Let her learn." Deep down he was afraid. He had raised her for 10 years. He loved her like his own. But now someone else had returned, and Maya was starting to forget. Maya's 18th birthday was coming up, and Lisa planned a small family dinner at home. She decorated the living room with balloons and photos from Maya's childhood. Marcus baked a chocolate cake, Maya's favorite, and even got off work early to help set everything up. He wore his best jacket and cleaned the backyard lights so everything looked nice. Maya invited both Marcus and her biological father, David. It was the first time they'd all be in the same room. Jake didn't like the idea, but he kept quiet for Maya's sake. Lisa looked nervous, but she smiled and said, "It's her night." When David arrived, he brought a big gift bag and a loud energy. He hugged Maya tightly and handed her a gold bracelet. "For my girl," he said. Maya's eyes lit up. Marcus stood by the kitchen, watching quietly. He had brought her a gift too, something simple, a small velvet box with a birthstone necklace. He waited for the right moment to give it. Everyone sat at the table. The food was ready, candles were lit, and laughter filled the room. For a while, things felt okay. But as the evening went on, the mood began to change. After dinner, Lisa asked Maya to say a few words. Maya stood up, smiling, and began thanking everyone. "Thank you, Mom, for always being there. Thank you, Jake, for being my best friend." She paused and looked at David. "And thank you, Dad, for showing up. I'm really happy we're reconnecting." Everyone clapped. But she didn't mention Marcus, not once. Marcus didn't flinch. He just kept a soft smile on his face. Jake looked at him, then looked at Maya, confused. Lisa's smile faded a little, but she said nothing. Maya didn't even notice what she had done. She was too busy unwrapping David's expensive gift, a designer purse. Later, Marcus gave Maya his gift. She opened it slowly and stared at the necklace. It had a small charm with the letter M. She smiled and said, "Thanks, Marcus." "Not thanks, Dad. Just Marcus." He nodded. "Happy birthday, kiddo." Cake was served, and everyone gathered around to sing. But before the candles were blown out, Marcus stepped outside. He stood in the backyard for a while, looking at the sky. He didn't come back in for the cake. Maya saw the empty chair but didn't say anything. When the night was over, Lisa asked Jake to help clean up. He didn't speak for a while, then said quietly she heard him. Lisa sighed. She doesn't realize it yet. Upstairs, Marcus was packing a small bag. Not everything, just a few clothes, a book, and his toothbrush. He sat on the edge of the bed and looked at a photo on the nightstand. It was a picture of him, Maya, and Jake at a school play years ago. They were smiling, arms wrapped around him. He whispered to himself, "I guess my part's done now." The next morning, Marcus woke up early. The house was still quiet. He didn't want to wake anyone, so he moved slowly, folding the few clothes he had packed the night before. He looked around the room one last time. It had been his home for 10 years. Now it felt like a place he no longer belonged to. Lisa noticed his bag as soon as she came downstairs. "What are you doing?" she asked, trying to keep her voice calm. Marcus looked at her and gave a small smile. "I think it's time." Lisa shook her head. "Don't go like this. It was just a mistake. She's young." "I know," Marcus said gently, "and she's allowed to make mistakes. But maybe I need to step back." Lisa's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't try to stop him again. She knew Marcus had been carrying the weight for too long, and now he needed to rest. He left a short note on the kitchen table. It said, "Thank you for letting me love you. I'll always be proud of who you've become." He didn't sign it with his name, just Dad. When Maya came downstairs later and saw the note, she froze. "Where's Marcus?" she asked. "He left this morning," Lisa said softly. Maya stared at the note in silence. She read it twice, then folded it carefully and put it in her pocket. She didn't cry. Not yet. She just sat at the table, looking at his empty chair. Jake didn't say much either. He just grabbed his jacket and walked out of the house. Later that day, he found Marcus at the small repair shop where he worked. "You really left?" Jake asked. Marcus looked up, wiping grease off his hands. "Yeah." "Why?" "I didn't want to be in the way." Jake frowned. "You're not in the way, you're family." Marcus smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Not everyone feels the same. Back at home, Maya opened a drawer full of old photos. Birthday parties, school plays, soccer games. Marcus was in all of them. Holding her hand, tying Jake's shoelaces, clapping in the crowd. She touched one of the pictures, her fingers shaking. That night, she sat on her bed, thinking about the things she had said, and the things she hadn't. All the times she forgot to thank him. All the times she let someone else take the credit for what Marcus had built. She finally let the tears fall. In his small apartment across town, Marcus sat alone on a couch. He wasn't angry. He didn't hate them. He just missed being needed. He missed hearing Dad. And even though no one said it out loud, he could feel it in his heart. He had been replaced. But he had no regrets. He raised them with love, even if the world didn't see it that way. 5 years passed. Maya was now 23 and working in a small design studio. Jake had just finished college. Marcus still lived in the same small apartment and worked at the same repair shop. He didn't come around much, but he never changed his phone number. He stayed quiet, watching from a distance, hoping the kids were doing well. When Jake graduated, he told Lisa, "I want to invite Marcus to the ceremony." Lisa agreed. "He deserves to be there," she said. Maya wasn't sure how to feel. She hadn't seen Marcus in years. She sometimes thought about him, but she never reached out. Seeing him again made her nervous. "What if he's upset with me?" she asked Jake. "Then you say sorry," Jake replied. On graduation day, Marcus showed up in his old light brown jacket and a clean gray shirt. His black and white hair had more white in it now. He sat quietly in the back row, clapping proudly when Jake's name was called. When it was over, Jake ran up to hug him. "You made it," Jake said with a smile. "Wouldn't miss it," Marcus replied. Maya stood nearby holding her phone. She walked toward Marcus slowly. When he turned and saw her, he smiled kindly. "Hey, Maya." "Hi," she said softly. It felt strange. The man who once packed her lunch and tied her shoes now felt like a stranger. They stood in silence for a few moments. "I'm glad you're here," Maya finally said. Marcus nodded. "You look happy. I'm proud of you." They didn't talk much more after that. Marcus left early, saying he had to get back to work. He waved goodbye and walked away. Later that night, Maya sat on the floor of her room, going through a box of old memories, school drawings, birthday cards, and photos. One photo showed Marcus lifting her on his shoulders at a fair. She was laughing, her hands in the air. He looked up at her with a wide smile. She held the photo tightly and whispered, "I forgot how much you love me." Jake walked into the room and saw her holding the picture. "He was always there," Jake said. "Remember when you got sick and he stayed up with you all night? Or when you cried after your first breakup and he brought you ice cream?" Maya nodded, tears in her eyes. I thought real dads were the ones who shared your blood." Jake shook his head. "Real dads are the ones who stay, who show up, who never stop loving you, even when you forget them." Maya wiped her face and picked up her phone. She stared at Marcus's number for a long time. "Do you think it's too late to fix it?" she asked. "Call him," Jake said. "He's probably been waiting for that call every day." Maya took a deep breath and pressed the button. It rang once, then twice, and then she heard Marcus's voice. "Hello." A few months after the phone call, Maya invited Marcus to a family reunion. It was being held at her aunt's house, and most of Lisa's relatives would be there. Maya told Marcus, "I want you to come. It's time they see who you really are." Marcus hesitated but agreed. He hadn't been around the family in years, and he knew some people still didn't accept him. But for Maya, he said yes. On the day of the reunion, Maya wore a soft blue dress and waited outside until Marcus arrived. When he stepped out of his car, she ran over and gave him a hug. "Thank you for coming," she whispered. Inside the house, people were already gathered. Laughter filled the rooms, and kids ran through the halls. Lisa smiled when she saw Marcus and gave him a warm hug. But not everyone looked pleased. Some of Lisa's relatives gave short hellos and kept their distance. Maya stayed close to Marcus during the event. She introduced him to everyone again, even though they already knew him. "This is my dad," she said proudly. Some people nodded politely, others looked away. During dinner, Marcus sat at the edge of the table. He didn't speak much. He listened and smiled when people talked. But he could feel the distance. It was quiet, but it was there. After the meal, Maya overheard two of her cousins talking near the kitchen. "Why is he even here?" one said. "He's not one of us," the other replied. "He's just her stepdad." Maya froze. Those words cut deep. She turned around and saw Marcus standing not far behind them. He had heard everything. He didn't say anything. He just walked outside quietly. Maya followed him. He was standing by the fence looking up at the sky. "I heard them," she said softly. Marcus nodded. "I did too." "I'm sorry," she whispered. "They don't know you. They don't understand." Marcus looked at her and smiled gently. "It's okay. I didn't come for them. I came for you." Maya's voice shook. "I let them make me forget what you did for me. I let someone else take your place. You were young," he said. "You needed to find your own answers. I never stopped being proud of you." She reached into her bag and pulled out the old necklace he gave her on her 18th birthday. "I kept it," she said. "I wear it sometimes, even if no one sees." Marcus took a deep breath. "That means more than you know." Maya hugged him tight. "You're not just my stepdad. You're my real dad, the only one who ever stayed." Inside the house, the party went on. But outside, a bond was being repaired, stronger than blood, stronger than anything anyone could break.